So I don't care what party you're a part of, whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat, we should all agree that cancer should be eradicated, right? Let's get into this.
Everybody wake up. It's a brand new day, and this is your chance to let your soul shine. Proud to be you and me, freaks and geeks. Always remember that your soul is divine. Come on.
So no matter what party you are a part of, Republican, Democrat, or you're an independent like myself, we should all be agreeing that cancer should be eradicated and taken care of, right? Nobody should be getting cancer in 2025. And yet, this current administration wants to cut the budget on cancer research funding. Now let's go over some of the reasons why that's a bad idea, huh? First of all, let me take it from a personal perspective, okay? I was diagnosed in 2020, like most of you that follow this channel know. What you don't know is I didn't have the income to just go to a cancer center, okay? I ended up in a program where I was able to get free treatment through the University of Rochester. That kind of funding comes from funding from the government, okay? Without that, people like me, I would have been screwed. I would have been screwed. What would I have done? You can't just go to your local hospital and have a surgery like this done, okay? It takes a specialist. Because of that program, I was also able to get some health care. So that way I can get Medicaid. So that way I can take care of myself after I had the surgery. That way the treatments were paid for, the chemo, the radiation, all the medication. You know, all that stuff was from cancer research and funding from nonprofits and the government. Most of it coming from the government. So without any of these programs, I would have never had the surgery that I had. I probably would have ended up dying from cancer. And that's sad. And that's kind of a fact for a lot of people in this country. Not everybody has the money. There's people that have gone broke, millionaires that have gone broke trying to fight cancer. So why the hell are we cutting research? Why would we cut funding? And why are some of you supporting this kind of thing? The bottom line is cancer shouldn't be a political issue. It should be bipartisan. Both parties should want to eliminate this. But the current administration wants to slash the budget. They want to slash 37 to 38% of the budget, going from $7.5 billion to $4.5 billion. Now, I know some of you are like, oh, $4.5 billion, that's great. But it's cutting off funding that people are literally in the middle of research of. Think about trying to make a breakthrough, and then all of a sudden your power is cut off. You have to lay off all your employees, and then the equipment that you use to do all this is gone.
Excuse me.
You're back to square one. You just put us back in 1971. So they were supposed to go ahead and vote on this October 30th, but with the shutdown looming and everything's been postponed because, you know, the government's deficient. You know, this is, when they do research, okay, on one thing, like say they have a breakthrough on heart disease, right? They can apply that to other things. So like you made a breakthrough on cancer, now you can make a breakthrough using that same medicine on another thing or something else. That's how research goes. And I don't know how you guys do research. The people that say they do their own research, I laugh about. Because let's face facts, science is, this is how it works. I come up with something, you try to recreate it, improve it, or debunk it. And then somebody else comes along and does it, somebody else comes along and does it, until everybody agrees I was right or I was wrong. You know, it's observed and reported by your peers. It's not some random Joe Schmo that doesn't know shit about fuck, okay? It's a bunch of people coming together and agreeing yes or no. This is a fact, this isn't a fact. This can be recreated, this can't be recreated.
Yes, science!
And some of you don't even get that. You don't get how research works. And that just cracks me. I do my own research. No, you don't. You go to Facebook, you go to Google, you look at the things that you think is right, and then you stop there, man. You got to look at all of it. All of it. labs that are in the middle of research that is shut down now. In the middle of research, there is a woman, a doctor that is working with brain cancer in children. She's starting to make a breakthrough. She had to lay off everybody and close up the shop and find a job in a different field. Do you know how sad that is? And this is all in a matter of months, just months, because the government's withholding all the money from people. Meanwhile, we're spending millions overseas blowing shit up. How stupid is this? We're spending all this money on the ICE to protect the border and to get rid of illegal immigrants. We're spending all this money on military. And yet you want to cut cancer research. The one thing that we were actually leading the way on. We have knocked cancer deaths down to about 34%. So that's amazing since 1991. Think about that one. Before 1991, with the advancements of chemo and radiation and all the different medicines, your survival was very slim. And now you have a 38% chance you might die. How incredible is that? And we're throwing it all away. We're throwing it all away. To what? Make millionaires or billionaires more money? Come on, man. Come on. And research is something that's done in like a couple days, okay? When they do these clinical trials and stuff, it's usually thousands of people over a year's time, and they do a study, and you keep up with these people. That's how research is done. It's not something that's just, we found it. They don't do that. It takes time. It takes money. It takes people. And what money? It's not like they're just giving them money and be like, here you go. The money is going to their employees. It's going for the facility they're using. All their utilities, okay? The employees, like, it's not just doctors. Like, a lot of them are taking insurance in, you know what I mean? But you still got to have a janitor.
Thank you. I'm going to have to go tell my janitor wife and all my janitor kids that life is worth living. And that comes straight from our hero, Dr. Who's-Its.
You still got to pay for disposal of trash. You still got your water, everything a normal business would have. Just they get their funding through research, funding through the government. For all you laryngectomies out there that have a tab, could you picture of Dr. Blum and Dr. Singer in the middle of their research, in the middle of them about to create a tab? Everything was shut down and they couldn't do it. What then? You're stuck with an EL, right? You got to wait for somebody else to come up with something. This is going to happen to people in the future. Right? The research I took study in, last year, a kid from Cornell University contacted me. He was coming up with a device that he wanted to use to help people talk. They were laryngectomies. They were going to use it for something else, something totally different. I thought this would work well for a laryngectomy. And the idea they had was great. And I was trying to help them with that. But guess what? No funding. That kind of thing goes away. So now folks that are using an EL, that research on that's gone. You're going to have to hope somebody outside the country does it. And that's the other issue. If you spent years going to school, studying your craft, learning everything you can learn about cancer, and then you can't do your research, would you stay in America or would you go somewhere that's going to let you do your research? Think about that one. Anybody coming up in this day and age that are trying to be a scientist, trying to do something like that in the health field, they're looking at this and being like, well, screw this, and go to India, go to UK, go to Europe, maybe even China or Russia. It means we're losing our smart people. And literally since 1991, 34% death rate. Come on. That's all because of the freaking the Health Association and government grants and funding for all this research. You wouldn't have the different chemos that you have now if it wasn't for this. For every $326 donated or, acquired equals 1 year of somebody living. It doesn't seem like much, but do you remember when you were about to die? You were hoping you had 1 year. Do you remember when you first became diagnosed with throat cancer and you looked up all the information online and everybody told you had 5 years to live? Yeah. Look, the fight of cancer is never going to end, but it's never going to have a possibility of ending if we don't work together. Don't make this a partisan thing. It is a bipartisan thing. I don't care what side you're on. Children dying of cancer is wrong. If you can't agree with that, please go down, unsubscribe, don't watch me again. Because bottom line, kids dying of cancer is wrong. Wrong. Somebody like me going through this, whatever. You lived 80 years and went through cancer, whatever. What did that newborn do? What did that 6-month-old child do? What did a 5-year-old do to deserve the cancer? We need to get rid of it. We need to eradicate it. Y'all say you love the children so much and you love mental health so much, and yet you're okay with slashing cancer. And I want to be clear right now. This is me being calm. The more I looked into all this, the more angry I got. And you should be too. You should be mad. If you're a cancer survivor, you automatically know what you had to go through. And you shouldn't want anybody else to go through that kind of thing. Ever. I never wish this upon anybody, let alone my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, anyone. And you should feel the same way too. And cancer research cutting the funding because you want to save a buck to give billionaires more money is bullshit. You know, now let's look at some of the things that might have affected you. You remember the lady that helped you get everything together, like your gas mileage and all that stuff to turn in so you can get reimbursement, that kind of thing? Her job's gone. The programs that I was like people like me that were into, that was able to get free treatment. You know, we were able to get free surgery and all that good stuff. That's going to be going away. What about the volunteer services that actually come and pick you up and take you places for your chemo and radiation? That's going to be gone. They're going to lose funding. You know, one of the things they were working on in the middle of it was radiation treatment, that it was like milliseconds. So instead of you sitting in that machine for however long, what was it, 15 minutes? While you're sitting in that machine 15 minutes, this thing would direct it directly at the cancer, not damage the outside tissue, and it would be milliseconds instead of minutes. That research has been canceled. Think about all the different chemos out there. At one point, all the chemos made you lose your hair. All the chemos are going to make you sick. All the chemos were bad. Now it depends on the chemo. I didn't lose my hair, and a lot of you didn't lose your hair when you did the chemo, like cisplatin. You know what I mean? Without research, we would have never had any of that. You would have went through the old school chemo, and it would have sucked. And anybody that went through this chemo before the 90s, power to you, man.
Remember your pressure points.
Do I exercise?
I'll let your boy.
Woosah.
21,000.
In 1971, Richard Nixon signed the bill for the war on cancer. It was going to be a whole thing. We spent the next 50 years coming up with different methods to fight and treat cancer, prevent it. And now this current administration is about to send us back at least 25 years. How can we prevent this? Well, what we all need to do is call our local congressman. And I'll leave a link down in the description so you can find out who your local representative is. And you need to just send them a letter, call them, and make an uproar about it. Let them know that cancer is not a partisan issue. You know, cancer doesn't care if you're Democrat or Republican. It doesn't give a shit.
Honey Badger don't give a shit. It just takes what it wants.
It's going to come after you either way. So, and I know damn well a lot of you Republicans have had cancer in your family or survived cancer, and if you support cutting cancer research, my God, how much more can you bow a knee? Seriously, how much more can you bow a knee than to be like, yeah, we don't need to research cancer.
I expect them to die.
So call your local congressman. Let them know it's not a partisan issue. It's a bipartisan issue, and everybody should be agreeing that cancer research and cancer funding should be a priority. Trump is so angry about Joe Biden that he took Project Moonshot and shot it the fuck away. He's putting millions in risk because he's petty. He's a petty old man. And if you support him, I'm sorry, you're supporting the wrong side of history here. And if you don't like me because of that and what I said, that's fine too. That's the great thing about America. You have the freedom to go away. Call your local congressman, bitch, plain, race out, go from there. And hopefully they reject it. Hopefully they shoot that down. There's plenty of other things we can be cutting. You know, military budget. You can take fucking a quarter of the military budget and probably solve cancer. And I know I'm not the only one that if it wasn't for cancer research and funding, wouldn't be here today. I know there's a lot of you out there right now. There's a lot of you that were low income, that was not going to be able to afford this. And a program happened to help you get in and get the help you needed. You survived because of a government grant, a government handout. Socialism saved your life.
Don't get mad.
Let them know that. Remind people of what we're trying to do here. And until next time, I'm the very good laryngectomy, and peace out.